Hey guys, this is Mr. Breen, and in this video I'm going to be talking about unemployment. Okay, so these terms are not going to be absolutely exact, but I'm just going to use sort of a rough outline for you guys that you're going to need to know. So the labor force is everybody who's employed and everybody who's unemployed, all together. That's the labor force. So if you're unemployed, you're in the labor force. Okay, those who are employed, okay, are people who have jobs and are not in the military. Have jobs and are not in the military. Why do we exclude people in the military? Well, because you could really improve your employment numbers by just drafting people, right? So we don't want to make it look like a draft is really, the economy's going great because we're drafting everybody. That wouldn't be a great economy. That would just be the government saying, well, everybody's employed, look. Okay, and everybody who's unemployed are people who are, and this is very rough, but you're over 16. Okay. You want a job. In other words, you're looking for a job, but you don't have one. Do not have a job. So who does this exclude? By the way, this excludes retirees, stay-at-home parents, or spouses, or whoever. Okay. Many students, if the student is just a full-time student and doesn't want a job, these people are not going to count in unemployment statistics. Now, just to introduce one last thing, and this is a thing that many of you guys are at least somewhat familiar with, the unemployment rate. Okay, the unemployment rate is the number of unemployed people divided by the labor force, the whole labor force, not divided by the number of employed people, but divided by employed people plus unemployed people. Okay, that is the unemployment rate. Okay, so in order to understand the causes of unemployment, generally speaking, we want to understand the causes of each individual, why they're employed, and we can sort of put these into 4 different categories. The first is frictional unemployment, and frictional unemployment just basically means that you're between jobs. Maybe you just graduated and you're still looking for a job, or you decided to quit your old one, take a little bit of time off, and then you're going to find another job again. So there's always some of this, no matter how good the economy is. Then there is seasonal unemployment. So, this is because of a change in seasons. So maybe an agricultural worker, right, becomes unemployed in the winter or something like that, or there's a lot more employment during harvest time, and then all those people don't have a job after harvest time, or maybe there could be things like ski instructors, right, I guess, or a lifeguard, and, you still need some lifeguards in the winter, but, and some places you need them all year round, even outside, but, there's a lot less call for lifeguards in, say, the winter in the north. Then there is structural unemployment, and structural unemployment is sort of a thorny problem. Okay, so structural unemployment means worker skills do not match what employers need, okay, or what they demand, what employers demand. Okay, so if the worker skills do not match what employers demand, this could be for a number of reasons. It could be technology issues, so technology is advancing, and so the new workers need to have different skills or more skills. It could be because of globalization, okay, displacing, say, low-skilled workers in the United States, or relatively low-skilled workers. It could be because of some new resource. For example, when people figured out that they could use things like kerosene or other things derived from oil to light their houses and do lots of other stuff like that. Whaling, for example, people who were oil or who were whalers and saw whale blubber for stuff like that. They were out of a job, so there could be new resource. Okay, and then finally, there's cyclical unemployment. And cyclical unemployment is unemployment that results from a downturn in the business cycle. And it's important that you understand what the business cycle is, having watched that video. Okay, again, when we have our business cycle, I'm just going to draw a little one. Here's GDP over time. And the business cycle has an up and a down, an up and a down, and up. And during these down times, okay, unemployment goes up, and we get cyclical unemployment. It's not, it's not that your skills are out of style or out of fashion or not useful to anybody anymore, and it's not that the season changed and so you're out of a job because the season changed. It's not just that you're just in between jobs. I mean, you got laid off because there's not as much, say, demand for goods in general. People aren't spending as much as they used to. Okay, so frictional unemployment, seasonal unemployment, we can't do anything about these, right? And in a sense, for frictional unemployment, we really wouldn't want to, right? You don't want to just lock somebody into a job forever. And seasonal unemployment, obviously, there's only so much we can do about. And then structural unemployment is something you also want, at least some of, because it means your technology is improving and you're increasing the amount of trade and you're discovering new useful resources. Really, it's cyclical unemployment that is the problem that governments, that economists try to figure out how to solve. And here's another term. Okay, full employment is our goal. Full employment is not 0% unemployment. That's not what that means. Because again, you're always going to have some of this, structural unemployment. You're always going to have some of this and some of that. Okay, so it's not 0% unemployment. What full employment means is that there's no cyclical unemployment. So in other words, a lot of economic policy is designed either to mitigate these downturns or prevent them altogether. Why? Well, for a number of reasons, but also because those downturns are associated with unemployment. Okay, there are a number of other problems that perhaps our unemployment rate doesn't measure. And one of those is underemployment, which basically means that workers are overqualified for their jobs. So we might have a very low rate of unemployment, but we have all kinds of PhD students or PhD holders who are working at Starbucks, right? That's not something we kind of want because they have too much skill to sort of have Starbucks as their final destination for a job. Or you could be a discouraged worker. Discouraged workers have basically given up looking for a job, and those people are going to drop out of unemployment statistics because, again, they gave up looking. That means they don't count as unemployed anymore. And so if you have lots of discouraged workers, people are going to drop out of the workforce and your unemployment rate will go down, but not because the employment situation improved. Finally, there's the labor force participation rate. The labor force participation rate, roughly speaking, is a percentage that you get from dividing the labor force, okay, everybody who's employed and unemployed, again, by the working age population. So this will take into account discouraged workers, okay? And once you get that percentage, then you can say, well, if this percentage goes down, that means that people are dropping out of the labor force for one reason or another. Completely. They're not employed and they're not unemployed, but they used to be one or the other.